What is up guys, Paulo Franco here, back again with another video, and for today's remake, I'm gonna be showing you how I remade one of last year's most iconic tech house remixes. You guessed that right, it's that song that Zed did a mashup on with Pink Soldiers from the popular Netflix series Squid Game. Do It To It by ACRAZE. So what are we waiting for? Let's go dive right into it.
With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it.
The song is pretty much only drum and bass along with the sampled vocals, but there are some elements that help make it sound thicker overall as well. But first, let's start with the vocal section. The vocals used mostly come from the original song by Cherish, and what I did first was that I set the time stretching mode to Stretch Pro and decreased the formant to -350 cents. This gives the vocals a deeper sound but still retaining the original pitch. Next up, I sliced and individually rendered the intro, chorus,
With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it.
and this section which I derived from this part of the vocals. I just set the declicking mode to smooth to have a more even fade in and out feel. The last vocal sample isn't actually from Cherish's a cappella. Instead, it's from another song by Ciara entitled Oh, and it's pretty similar with the original Do It To It since they're both the same key and genre, so it would be natural that ACRAZE would include it in his remix. For the A part, I just put in a Fruity Love filter and I didn't even touch anything, just to drown it a bit from the mix and most especially to hide Sean P's Chad vocals. For the A part, I put in a Fruity Delay 3, set the time to 3:0, set the level to 70%, cut off at around 10.5 kHz, and toned down the dry to about 75%. This gives it a little bit more bounce. I put in a Fruity Reverb 2, maxed out the wetness, put the low and high cut to around 50% of the knob, set the room size to 70, and decay to 6 seconds in order to fill up the empty space in between. The same goes for the O part. I just put in a reverb with a long decay since the vocals are what makes up almost the entire melody section of the song. Next up, the 808. For this, I used 3 times OSC, but I actually turned off the other 2, so technically I'm using only 1 oscillator. Used the triangle shape and set the mix to around 36%, and also shape the volume and pitch envelopes. The settings are shown on the screen because it would take too long for me to explain each of the parameters, but overall, you would want to come up with an 808 sound with instant attack, a little bit of tail, and a bouncy pitch that will sound like this. I just put in a Fruity compressor, increased gain to 5 decibels and set the type to soft, and after that, I used a Fruity Wave Shaper with this shape shown on the screen, so that it would sound a lot more dirty but minus the clipping. Also, a Fruity Blood Overdrive with the preamp set to around 0.1 will help add a little touch of distortion. Heading on to the drum section, it's pretty simple as well. I only managed to use 2 kicks, one for the drop or chorus section and the other for the quieter parts. Two claps that stack together, but the first clap has a different pattern in order to add variation, and it sounds like this. The hi-hat section is a little bit more intricate and I used 6 hi-hats in total. The main one is a standard house sounding open hat. The second is a standard house sounding close hat. The next 2 are hat loops that add more groove to the beat. The other one is an open hat that occurs on every third upbeat. And the last one is tagged together with a snare on some transition parts. I just EQ'd the close and the transition hat to minimize the low to mid end and reduce the high frequency somewhat significantly. Snares only play a minor role in this song and are mainly used for transition and additional percussion. But I used one snare for the build-up towards the drop and just automated the pitch and also the volume. For the transition parts like this one, it is most important for me to note that I set the swing to 30%. What this does is that it makes your drum pattern sound shuffly and it would sound like this. Next up, the key section. It's still pretty simple and minimalistic, and I just used the stock string section plugin from FL and did this pattern for the intro and outro. I also EQ'd it so that only the mid frequencies remain. Put in a delay 3 with the time also set to 3 as the 0 and level at 70%, and use the sound godizer with preset C at around 25% just to give it a bit of spice. The second pattern for this is basically the same one, but with the notes occurring every 4 steps, and I turned down the delay for this portion to 50%. There's also this riff for the strings for the transition parts. Heading on, I once again used Ascension by Cubic Audio for some of the other instruments. For the sustained strings on an octave is a preset called Orc ASC Beauty String, and it's actually very discreet on the mix. You would barely hear it when the other instruments come up. The brass synth I use is a preset called Pad Synthetic Strings, and it plays similar to the second pattern of the strings. It's just that I made the 2 chords into triads, but they still arpeggiate from top to bottom and back. Next, I used another preset called Lead Ascension, and it only plays the first note of the 2 chords, just to build up intensity for the drop. I also layered it with a tonal sample from WA Productions' Deep House Journey Pack to complement the raspy sounding synth. Lastly, I used 2 long and short reverse sweeps, 2 long and short downlifters, and also rendered the vocal part and the first note of the string section in reverse, and put in a long reverb to both samples so that it would act as uplifters as well. And there you have it, folks. Pretty simple, wasn't it? I'll be playing the full track in a while, so comment down your thoughts and suggestions on what song should I work on next. Again, the link for the project file is in the description below. That's all, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my fellas, tip your hats with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. With it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my fellas, tip your hats with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it.